In the soft-focus glow of our collective memory, the 1990s often feel like a simpler time. It was the last decade before the internet completely reshaped our world, a time of mixed tapes and blockbuster video stores, of grunge music and oversized flannel shirts. And in this era, we watched a generation of child stars grow up on our screens. They were our fictional friends, our on-screen siblings, the faces that populated our favorite sitcoms and family films. We saw their first crushes, their awkward teenage years, and we felt like we knew them. But what happens when the screen fades to black? What happens when the cheerful, familiar face disappears from the limelight, not by choice, but by a cruel twist of fate? Sometimes the most compelling stories are the ones hidden in plain sight, whispered in the margins of Hollywood history. This is one of those stories. It's about a young girl with a radiant smile and a talent that felt as natural as breathing. A girl who, for a brilliant, fleeting moment, was poised for stardom, captivating audiences in a sweeping sci-fi epic and a beloved, timeless family film. Her name was Madison Wright. Many will remember her from the series Earth 2, or as the earnest young hero of Shiloh. But this isn't a typical tale of a child actor who simply grew up and moved on. It's a far more profound and heartbreaking narrative. It's a story of courage in the face of an invisible, relentless enemy. It's a story about the awesome, terrifying power of modern medicine and the fragile, sacred gift of a single human heart. It is the story of a life lived with an intensity and purpose that most of us will never know. A life that blazed with incredible brightness before being extinguished far, far too soon. To understand the story of Madison Wright is to understand that the greatest dramas don't always unfold on a movie set. Sometimes they happen within the quiet, desperate chambers of the human heart itself. To truly grasp Madison's journey, we have to transport ourselves back to the cultural landscape of the early 1990s. It was a unique crossroads for entertainment, especially for children's programming. The wholesome, often moralistic family sitcoms of the 80s were still a powerful force, but a new wave of edgier, more sophisticated content was emerging. In the world of science fiction television, a significant torch was being passed: Star Trek. The Next Generation had just concluded its celebrated run in the spring of 1994, leaving a void for ambitious, high-concept sci-fi. At the same time, a quirky little show about FBI agents and extraterrestrial conspiracies called The X-Files was just beginning its ascent, proving that audiences were hungry for intelligent, serialized storytelling. It was into this fertile ground that NBC planted the flag for Earth 2. Produced by Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment, it was one of the most expensive shows on television, a bold, cinematic gamble. The premise was a kind of futuristic pioneer story, a wagon train to the stars, following a group of colonists fleeing a polluted, uninhabitable Earth to begin anew on a planet light years away. It was a series built on themes of hope, survival, and the enduring strength of family, a perfect vehicle for a talented young actress to shine. Simultaneously, the world of family films was thriving. The 90s were the golden age of live-action movies that entire families could enjoy together. Films like The Sandlot, Free Willy, and A Little Princess. These weren't just simple kids' movies. They often dealt with complex emotional themes, loss, friendship, courage, and the moral complexities of the world. In 1996, when Shiloh was released, it fit perfectly into this tradition, based on the acclaimed Newbery Medal-winning novel by Phyllis Reynolds. Naylor, it was a quiet, sensitive story that tackled difficult subjects like animal abuse and personal integrity with grace and honesty. This was the world that Madison Wright stepped into. But she was not a product of a Hollywood dynasty or a Los Angeles stage school. She was a genuine Kentucky girl, born in Cincinnati but raised in the small, tight-knit community of London, Kentucky. Her father, Scott, and her mother, Melissa, provided a grounded, loving home for Madison and her younger sister, Victoria. It was a life far removed from the industry's epicenter, a life of school, friends, and family. That authenticity would become her greatest asset. The journey began, as it so often does, with a touch of serendipity. A local modeling contest win at the age of 5 led to a summer of work in New York City. It was there, amidst the towering skyscrapers and bustling energy, that an agent recognized the spark in her, a precocious intelligence combined with a natural, unforced charm. The family made a momentous decision. They would support her dream, forming a company, Wright Act Incorporated, to manage her burgeoning career. They would navigate this strange new world together as a family. In 1994, at just 9 years old, Madison landed the role that would change her life, True Danziger in Earth 2. True was the heart of the expedition, a fierce, intelligent, and deeply empathetic 10-year-old who was, in many ways, the audience's surrogate. We discovered the wonders and dangers of the planet G889 through her wide, curious eyes. The role required a young actress who could convey both the innocence of childhood and the resilience of a seasoned survivor, and Madison delivered a performance of remarkable maturity. Life on set, however, was an adventure in itself. The show was filmed on location near Santa Fe, New Mexico, a landscape whose stark alien beauty was perfect for the screen but challenging for production. The cast and crew battled scorching sun, sudden windstorms, and the pervasive dust of the high desert. For a young girl from the lush greenery of Kentucky, it was a whole new world. Her days were a strange mix of the ordinary and the extraordinary. Mornings were spent with a tutor in a trailer, tackling math and history lessons, while afternoons were spent acting out scenes of survival against fictional alien creatures. Her co-stars remember her not as a child actor, but simply as a bright professional and endlessly cheerful colleague. Clancy Brown, the veteran actor who played the gruff survivalist John Danziger, True's father on the show, recalled her remarkable focus and lack of pretense. She was a complete professional, he noted in a later interview, a sentiment echoed by others on the cast. She formed a close bond with Rebecca Gayhart, who played Bess Martin, and the other young actors on the show. Her younger sister, Victoria, was a frequent visitor to the set, and the two sisters would explore the otherworldly terrain, turning the New Mexico desert into their personal playground. Despite the long hours and demanding environment, Madison remained grounded, a testament to the strong family foundation that traveled with her. Earth 2, though ambitious and critically appreciated, lasted only 1 season, a victim of its high budget and a competitive time slot. 2. But for Madison, it was an invaluable experience and a stepping stone to the role that would define her career. That role was Marty Preston in the 1996 film Shiloh. In a move that speaks volumes about Madison's singular talent, the lead character, a young boy in the original novel, was rewritten specifically for her. She had an emotional transparency that transcended gender, an ability to connect with the core of a character's humanity. Shiloh tells the story of a child in rural West Virginia who finds a beagle that has been mercilessly abused by its owner, the menacing Judd Travers. The child, Marty, risks everything, including disappointing a father he deeply respects, to rescue the dog and give it a loving home. The film's quiet power rests almost entirely on Madison's shoulders. Her performance is a masterclass in subtlety. We see Marty's internal moral struggle play out not in dramatic speeches, but in the conflicted expressions in her eyes, the determined set of her jaw, and the gentle, protective way she holds the frightened dog. The bond between Marty and Shiloh feels utterly real, because for Madison, it was. She adored the beagle who played Shiloh, and that genuine affection radiated from the screen, forming the movie's unshakable emotional core. The film was a sleeper hit, earning critical acclaim and becoming a beloved classic, cherished by families and educators for its gentle yet powerful lessons about compassion, responsibility, and standing up for what is right. Madison would go on to reprise her role in 2 sequels, Shiloh 2, Shiloh Season in 1999, and Saving Shiloh, which was released posthumously in 2006. But as Madison's career was reaching its peak, her body was beginning to betray her. In the late 1990s, after filming the second Shiloh movie, she began to suffer from a series of frightening and persistent health issues. It started with a cough that wouldn't go away, followed by recurring bouts of pneumonia that left her weak and exhausted. For a vibrant, active teenager, it was baffling and terrifying. Doctors were initially stumped. They cycled through a series of diagnoses: severe allergies, persistent bronchitis, adult-onset asthma. But none of the treatments worked. Her health continued to decline, robbing her of her energy and her breath. The idyllic life of a rising star was replaced by a grueling cycle of doctor's appointments, hospital visits, and endless medical tests. The uncertainty was excruciating for Madison and her family. Finally, in 1999, they received a definitive and devastating diagnosis. At the Cleveland Clinic, specialists determined that 15-year-old Madison was suffering from restrictive cardiomyopathy. It's a rare disease of the heart muscle where the chambers of the heart become stiff over time. They can no longer relax properly to fill with blood, leading to severe heart failure. The prognosis was grim. It was a progressive, incurable condition. The only long-term hope for survival was a heart transplant. The diagnosis was a cataclysmic blow. It marked the end of her childhood and the abrupt conclusion of her acting career. The dreams of Hollywood were now replaced by a singular, all-consuming battle for life itself. This is where the story of J. Madison Wright, the actress, ends, and the story of Madison Wright, the fighter, truly begins. She made the courageous decision to step away from the camera, to leave behind the world she had known for the better part of a decade. It wasn't a surrender. It was a strategic retreat, a choice to focus all her energy on her health and on carving out a new, more normal life for herself back in Kentucky. She enrolled at South Laurel High School, determined to experience the rites of passage she had missed while on set, attending prom, cheering at football games, and simply being a teenager among her peers. Despite the immense physical toll of her illness, she possessed a spirit that refused to be diminished. Her sister Victoria later recalled her incredible strength during this period, noting that Madison rarely complained. She faced her reality with a quiet grace and a fierce determination to live as fully as possible, but her condition was relentless. By early 2000, her heart was failing rapidly. Simple tasks like walking up a flight of stairs became monumental efforts. She was officially placed on the national waiting list for a heart transplant. The wait for a donor organ is a unique form of purgatory. It is a life lived by the phone, a life suspended between hope and despair. Every day is a battle against a failing body, while praying for a tragedy to befall another family, so that their loss might become your chance at life. For Madison and her family, it was a time of immense emotional strain. Yet, it was also a time that solidified their incredible bond. Her parents, Scott and Melissa, became her rock, her advocates, and her constant caregivers. Then, in March of 2000, just a few months after being listed, the call came. a donor heart was available. The family rushed to the Cleveland Clinic, their hearts pounding with a mixture of terror and overwhelming hope. The surgery was long and complex, but it was a success. When Madison awoke, she could breathe. For the first time in years, she could take a deep, full breath without pain or struggle. Her family saw the color return to her cheeks, the sparkle return to her eyes. It felt like nothing short of a miracle. Her life had been given back to her. Receiving a new heart fundamentally changed Madison's perspective on life. The brush with mortality gave her a profound sense of purpose that had nothing to do with fame or fortune. She felt an immense debt of gratitude to the anonymous donor and their family, a gift she vowed to honor by living a meaningful life. The desire to return to Hollywood was gone, replaced by a passion to learn, to grow, and to give back. She enrolled at the University of Kentucky, choosing to major in English. She dove into her studies with a passion, falling in love with literature and the power of storytelling from a new perspective. Her dream was no longer to be in front of the camera, but to stand in front of a classroom. She wanted to become a high school English teacher, to inspire young minds and share the worlds that books had opened up for her. Alongside her studies, she became a quiet but fervent advocate for organ donation. She understood in a way few could the life-altering power of that gift. She shared her story with community groups and at campus events, not for attention, but in the hopes that her experience might encourage others to register as donors, to give someone else the same second chance she had received. Her life at university was full. She made friends who knew her, not as a former actress, but as the bright, witty, and compassionate young woman she was. And it was there that she found love. She met Brent Joseph, a fellow student, a young man of deep faith and intelligence who was captivated by her spirit. He saw the incredible strength behind her gentle smile, the resilience that defined her journey. They shared a worldview, a love of learning, and a desire to build a quiet life of purpose together. Their courtship was a picture of normalcy that Madison had long craved. They studied together, went to football games, and planned for a future filled with hope. While Madison's story is not one of scandal, it does force us to confront a difficult and sensitive question that hangs over the lives of many child performers. In a respectful and nuanced way, we must consider the potential impact of a high-pressure acting career on a child's physical and emotional well-being. The long hours, the emotional demands of performance, the constant travel, and the inherent stress of life in the public eye create an environment far different from a typical childhood. While there is absolutely no medical evidence to suggest that Madison's acting career caused her cardiomyopathy, it is a genetic or viral linked condition. Her story serves as a poignant data point in a larger ongoing debate about child welfare in the entertainment industry. It prompts us to think critically about the invisible pressures we place on young talents and our responsibility to protect them. Madison's journey highlights the profound need for a support system like the one her dedicated family provided to navigate the treacherous waters of early fame. Her story stands as a quiet but powerful testament to the importance of grounding, family, and a life outside the Hollywood bubble. After the miracle of her transplant, Madison's life blossomed into a new and beautiful chapter. She graduated from the University of Kentucky in the spring of 2006, her degree in English a symbol of her hard-won victory and her new dreams. Just a few weeks later, on July 8, 2006, she and Brent Joseph were married. The ceremony took place in their hometown church in London, Kentucky. It was, by all accounts, a perfect day. Madison was a radiant bride, her smile lighting up the church. The wedding was a celebration not just of her love for Brent, but of her life itself. For her family and friends, it was the culmination of years of prayers, the happy ending to a story of incredible struggle. Looking at the wedding photos, you see a young woman on the cusp of a bright and promising future, a future she had fought so hard to claim. They were planning a honeymoon to Hawaii, a well-deserved celebration of their new life together. But the joy was tragically, cruelly fleeting. The day after her wedding, while on her honeymoon, Madison began to feel unwell. A sudden and severe pain gripped her. She was rushed to the University of Kentucky Medical Center. The diagnosis was the one thing everyone had feared. Her body was undergoing acute rejection of her transplanted heart. It was a complication that transplant recipients live in constant fear of, but its timing was devastatingly cruel. For the next 2 weeks, Madison fought for her life with the same incredible tenacity she had shown for years. Her new husband, Brent, and her family maintained a constant, heartbreaking vigil at her bedside, praying for a second miracle that was not to be. Her body, weakened from the long battle, could not withstand the assault. On July 21, 2006, J. Madison Wright passed away from a heart attack. She was just 21 years old, 8 days shy of her 22nd birthday. The news was an incomprehensible shock. Her death, coming on the heels of such profound joy, felt like a narrative twist too cruel for any script. Her funeral was a testament to the impact she had made in her short life. The church was filled with people from every chapter of her story, friends from her childhood in London, co-stars, and crew members who remembered the bright little girl on set, her professors and classmates from the university, and a community that had watched her grow up and prayed for her recovery. She was buried in her wedding dress, a symbol of the beautiful new beginning that had been so tragically cut short. So what is the lasting legacy of J. Madison Wright? Why does her story still resonate so deeply years after her passing? Her significance lies not in the Hollywood career she left behind, but in the profound human drama she lived. She is a powerful symbol of the bittersweet reality of organ transplantation. Her story showcases the miraculous gift of a second chance, but also the fragile, precarious nature of that gift. She reminds us that a transplant is not a cure, but an ongoing battle, a trade-off that requires immense courage and a lifetime of vigilance. Her advocacy, born from her own experience, gave a human face to the cause of organ donation, and her story continues to inspire people to give the gift of life. But on a deeper level, Madison's story is a powerful meditation on what it truly means to live. Faced with her own mortality at an age when most of us feel invincible, she made a conscious choice. She chose not to be defined by her illness or her past fame. She chose purpose over celebrity, education over entertainment, and love over everything. She compressed a lifetime of growth, struggle, and grace into just 21 years. In the end, the story of J. Madison Wright is a profoundly human one. It is a story of a bright light that burned with incredible intensity before it was extinguished. It's about the fierce, unconditional love of a family that walked through the fire with their daughter every step of the way. It's about finding true love, even for a short time, and the joy of a future that, for a moment, seemed limitless. Her life wasn't a tragedy about a lost actress. It was an inspiring, heartbreaking, and ultimately beautiful story about a young woman who was given a broken heart and spent her entire life trying to mend it, not just for herself, but for everyone she touched. She left us with a quiet legacy of courage, a reminder of the fragile beauty of life, and a story of a heart, both her first and her second, that was, in every sense of the word, truly heroic. And that wraps up today's video. If this video resonated with you, please give it a like, leave a comment with your feedback, and subscribe to stay updated on upcoming videos. appreciate you watching.